This video is brought to you by the EA Creator Network. I am not sponsored by them, but I have received some free pack codes in the past. So I'm Jen, and this is another Sims 4 speed build. For whatever reason, I have been feeling very autumnal lately, I guess you would call it. I just want to build Halloween and fall inspired builds, and for whatever reason I got inspired to build a fall or autumn wedding venue. Of all things, a wedding venue for fall. I know that seems a little weird, but let's go with it. So this is actually the front of the lot. First of all, I built this in Brindleton Bay only because it's very fall-esque, especially when you have it set to the fall season. But it is a primarily base game only build. I do come back in later and add some seasons elements to it, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the majority of the build will be functional for you with just a base game. So again, it's a wedding venue. This side of the build is technically the back of the build, even though it faces the front of this lot. Some of that was just the scenery around it and how I wanted to take pictures and stuff and film the video. Some of it was, I know, being that this is a base game lot, this is not where it's staying, so I didn't really think about which way was facing front, because it really doesn't matter which way is facing front. I mean, if you have cats and dogs and you really like this lot and you want it back here in Hindquarter Hideaway, you can keep it this way. The back can act as the front, and that's totally fine, and it won't matter. Or you can flip it around so the actual wedding part of the lot is towards the front of the lot, if that makes sense. Anyways, you'll get a better understanding as we go. Right now, I'm building the dining room, or rather I should say I was filling in the dining room. That's where I was starting with the lighting and stuff at. One thing you'll notice about my speed builds is that I bounce around. I don't methodically go from room to room and finish an entire room, or even if I do finish a room, I often come back to it as I find things in the catalog that I forgot we had and want to add to it, or realize that something else might look better in a spot than I initially thought, that type of stuff. So I don't just finish a room and move on with my life. I kind of work on little different bits and pieces of the build all throughout, and then I go back and forth a lot and change rooms around a lot until I have it just the way I want it. Like this dining room, for instance, it's gonna go through some dramatic changes over the course of this video, from starting out as that little rectangle, I was gonna say square, but it was a rectangle room, to being more L-shaped by the time it's done, even more so than it is now. And yeah, it just, I don't know, I just work on everything all at once. That's just how my brain works. I don't work on any one thing at a time and finish it, generally speaking. Bathrooms I sometimes will, because as I've mentioned in other videos, I think bathrooms are boring, so I don't go overboard, especially since I build a lot of smaller lots. I don't build a lot of big lots, and so I don't build a lot of big bathrooms, and so they're extra boring, so I don't spend a lot of time there. It's very basic stuff. You can get in and get out in like 10 minutes tops. So let's talk a little bit about how this build is set up. They did recently make it possible for you to have My Wedding Stories, which is a pack for The Sims 4. And also go back to having the old base game wedding events as well. So you have a choice between how you want to do it, whether you want to micromanage or whether you kind of want to have a smaller, less micromanagey kind of event. It's hard to explain. Everybody always says My Wedding Stories is broken. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that it was meant for storytellers and it was meant purposefully to have to micromanage every single aspect of the playing through of a wedding. There were some elements of it that were broken shortly after it was released, and maybe that's why people are kind of stuck on the idea that it's broken, but it's not broken. They've fixed the bugs and it works exactly as intended for the most part. There can be some confusion if you're on a bigger lot that has multiple wedding arches, multiple cake tables, multiple toasting tables, that kind of stuff. There can be some confusion for your Sims and yourself, as I ran into in my long legacy let's play. There was a lot of confusion as to where my Sims were at and where I wanted them to be. So that's the biggest issue with My Wedding Stories. I think a lot like this one would work much, much better with My Wedding Stories. There's one table there for a cake and toasting. There's one wedding arch, which you'll see just shortly here because we're getting to that part finally. There's only one wedding arch, one space for guests to sit. There's one kitchen for the caterer to cook in, one bar for the bartender to attend to. So this is the kind of lot you want if you're gonna be doing the micromanaging of My Wedding Stories. It's kind of funny to me how base game wedding lots actually work better for My Wedding Story weddings than the big, extravagant, overly done lots that were meant for My Wedding Stories, especially the default ones in Tartosa. But anyways, I digress. So it is a base game lot, but it'll work perfectly with My Wedding Stories. And obviously you can, if you have that, you can go in and add some of the elements from that as well. I just wanted to do a base game wedding lot and I needed some more autumn-like features, I guess, decorations, I guess. There isn't a lot that's kind of autumnal in the base game because the base game is based on desert and like New Orleans vibes a little bit. And you don't generally think of the desert or the deep south as like vibrant fall colors with all the tree leaves turning red and orange and yellow and sunflower patches everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So like they have less distinct seasons than the north does, and so you wouldn't find that kind of aesthetic in the base game. You have to go to other packs to get it, and that's why I added Seasons onto it, because Seasons does have some very distinctly fall looking things. I personally think it ends up really, really cute adding the little Seasons touches to it. And no, Seasons is not one of the packs that I received free from the Creator Network. It is one of the packs that I bought ages ago on my own. I just love that pack. I think there are a few packs that are necessary to make this life simulation game feel like life to me, and that is Seasons, Parenthood is a good one. I think it adds a new dynamic and element to family relationships, specifically parents and children, so that also feels kind of necessary to me. And then cats and dogs. And possibly, depending on how you feel about it, I would also add cottage living to that. I do wish that we got more variation in shed styles for the animals, like the cows and stuff. But aside from that very limited style that you're stuck with for those, I think those are the packs, excuse me, that make this game the most realistic for me. And so seasons is probably top on the list for me. But I live in an area where we do have four very distinct seasons most of the time. Granted, true spring and true fall, or what people think of as true spring and true fall, each only last about a couple of weeks. We pretty much go straight from winter to summer and then summer to winter, and they are very different from one another. It goes from very cold to very hot, and then very hot back to very cold pretty quickly, more quickly than people would believe usually. So, but we do have the distinct seasons. We do get the vibrant fall colors. We have sunflower patches like you wouldn't believe all over around us. There are some benefits to living in a rural area, and that is one of them. Now, being that I live in a place where we do have very colorful falls, you're probably thinking, why did I land on orange for my main color for all of this? And there's a very, very good reason for that. It was subconscious. I did not consciously say, okay, orange is fall, and I'm going to go with orange for everything. It kind of, in a way, we do have a lot of pumpkin patches here, like growing pumpkins and things. When you live in a rural area, you have a lot of farms and farm markets and things like that. And in the fall, there's a lot revolving around corn and pumpkins and that kind of stuff. And like I said earlier, the leaves do turn various shades of reds and oranges and yellows. We even get some deep, like plummy purples in there every now and then. So it's not like we don't have a colorful fall here. But again, it only lasts about 2 weeks. And then everything turns sort of brown and dead and decaying looking, and that is the rest of our fall until everything just disappears and it's covered in dirty, disgusting snow. So I think the whole gravitating towards orange and like copperies and brass like colors was a subconscious thing, because our fall is actually more dirty and brown and dead looking than it is vibrant and colorful. I mean, people think I'm joking when I say that vibrant fall that you see on TV, the very sort of stereotypical autumnal views that you see on TV literally only lasts 2 weeks. But I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. It literally only lasts about 2 weeks, and then it's gone and everything just turns dirty brown. So I think it very much was a subconscious thing based on that, because that's mainly what we see in the fall. So now we're finally to the actual wedding part of this venue. I wasn't 100% sure because I've not done a lot of weddings in The Sims 4. So I wasn't 100% sure how many chairs could be used at what distances, if that makes sense. I know that there is a certain distance away from the wedding arch that Sims will not use the chairs anymore, and they will elect to stand like around the arch instead and watch. And so I didn't want to go too far out to the side. I figured it'd be better to go further back than out to the side, but I wasn't 100% sure. I know this is probably way too many chairs though. It's a small lot. It's meant for a very small wedding. It's not really meant to have a big, huge, extravagant wedding. And in fact, there isn't even a place for your Sims to really dance. I don't know. There's a couple of things that I went back and changed, I think, after I stopped recording. Not major things, just little things. Like, I added some music speakers into the dining area. But there isn't really a designated spot for dancing. It's a small lot. It was meant for very small, quick weddings. It wasn't meant to literally experience every individual thing that you could do at a Sims wedding. For me, I rarely ever do the actual events themselves. I just take my Sims and invite a few of their friends to a lot, and then I just have them use the arch to get married. So I don't use the events on the phone or the calendar to make a wedding event. I don't know. It gets boring after a while doing the same thing over and over and over again. And sometimes I just want to get her done. So I just take my Sims and their guests to the wedding lot and have them get married at the arch. And I just let the guests do whatever the guests are going to do. On that note, because I do often play weddings that way, I do always mark these lots as generic so that random Sims are not just showing up here and joining the wedding. It's only the guests that I have invited to hang out at this lot. And as you can see, I am now adding in the little bit of season stuff. At the arch there, we've got a little catch of pumpkins. I wanted to use the season's lights, but they're so big and they didn't really, without getting weird, they don't really fit the vibe that I was going for. Like, you could use the fall ones and they have leaves and everything on them, but I wasn't going for like kitschy fall wedding. I was going more for understated and elegant fall wedding. So yeah, I didn't end up using those, but I did end up using quite a few of the pumpkins and the leaf things, especially the leaf piles that have the candles. I think that is so pretty. I love it so much. The little leaf piles along the walkway there with the little candles dotted in throughout. I think that's so pretty. And then I just went in and added some gardens around the edges. I was a little iffy about this part because as you get further into the fall season in The Sims, a lot of these plants are just going to turn brown. These specific plants, I don't think they disappear. They might. Some of them might disappear and you just see the like sticks of the bush left there. I'm not exactly sure which ones are which though, but a lot of them, like the flowers that I'm placing right now, those are gonna stay. They're just gonna turn brown and not look the greatest. So I was a little iffy on this part, but at the end I put some pumpkins in there with it, and I think that'll help if these things do turn really brown. I don't know. I don't play in the fall enough to know. Like, I mostly only ever play in the spring and summer. And the one time I have actually been playing through all of the seasons and it's taking me forever to get through all of them is my Long Legacy, where I am actually and have actually played through all the seasons twice, I think. Maybe? Maybe not. Yeah, I think I played through them twice. I can't even remember. Otherwise, I just mostly play in the spring and the summer. Occasionally, because I do a lot of building more than actual playing, at least recently, anyways. So I just don't know which ones are gonna look like what when the autumn season really takes hold. Anyways, on that note, we are pretty much done with the speed build part, so we can kind of do a little walkthrough overview so you can see how everything is, what it looks like again in one quick walkthrough. Oh, right, I just added a bunch of trees because this is a base game lot and there will probably be lots of lots in which there aren't a lot of trees around, and the whole point is to see the autumn colors. So I added a bunch of trees around so you could get those autumn colors. So let's go into the walkthrough. Okay, so here is like the front to back of the lot. I don't know. It's whatever part you want it to be, I guess. And then here's the two-story building. This upper part is just a vaulted ceiling, cathedral ceiling, whatever, with just windows in it. And then the lights, as you can see through the windows there. The chandeliers are hanging from the top. So let's go down in kind of like that. And then we have a bathroom here. We've got 3 individual stalls and then a kind of group hand washing area. We've got 1 dressing room here for one of the people getting or Sims getting married. And then a second dressing room here for the other Sim getting married. We've got the bar area here. I don't remember. Do you have to hire the bartender separately, or is that something you pick when you do the event? Either way, there is a bar here and a full kitchen here for catering as well as making the cake. There is a table here for placing the cake or whatever else. Maybe like drinks or something for doing toast or whatever. I'm trying to think of the difference between base game weddings and my wedding story weddings. It's not going real well. Anyways, here is the back, the main show area, the wedding arch, all in white because there wasn't any really good autumn sort of feeling arches. I mean, let's see. Where would we even find those? They would be under activities, right? I think for base game, you only get 2. You get this one, and neither really have that autumn feel, especially not this one. Those are very subtropical flowers. So this was the best I could do, but if you have my wedding stories and even cottage living, I forgot that cottage living had one. The cottage living one would probably be the closest to what you can get an autumn sort of vibe from. But if you have my wedding stories, there are lots of others that might work better. This one specifically, if I can find a spot for it, there, that one would work better. Probably not in the pink though, but like this dark wood, that would probably work better. But as a base game lot, this one is fine. The wedding arch being all white is kind of traditional anyway, so it's fine. Then we have all the pumpkins everywhere because that's basically the extent of fall and fall decorations in this game, along with the leaf piles with the little candles, which I think is absolutely adorable. I think this area looks so good at night, all lit by candles. I even put some candles in these pumpkins back here too to give it that extra glowy look there. But I just think this is so cute like this with just the candles and the string lights lighting everything up. It's adorable. I hope you enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.